Hi everyone, it's Shamila Ramjawan coming to you from the Red Corner Chat. And you know they say dynamite comes in small packages. So today I get to speak to the petite Anisa Tan, who is ex-South African living in Sydney, Australia. Welcome, Anisa.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to be here. And yes, you're right about dynamite in small packages, and definitely still 100% South African. So, yeah.
That's good to hear. Well, for those of you that don't know, Anisa, I know her from a little baby. I carried Anisa as a baby, and I followed her journey throughout her life from relocating, well, getting married, relocating to Australia, and just becoming this really dynamite. Anisa, do you want to maybe tell everybody who you are? Because I think everybody would like to know who's Anisa.
Okay. So I moved away from South Africa and grew up around you and your beautiful family as well. I went to school with your son, which was amazing. So very, very close relationship. And you've obviously inspired my journey as well so much. You're definitely one of my top role models in business, as a woman, in our culture, a South African person. I'm really, really proud to be a part of your life as well. So we moved away in the year 2000 and settled over in Sydney. And I can tell you back then, coming from South Africa and the environment that we were in, I was so confused as a girl. I didn't know which way to go. How would my life be? Would my parents want me to get married to this, perfect person and live the South African dream? What work opportunities would I have? What would I study? Where would I go? And then when my parents decided to move over, I guess everything changed for me. Everything changed for my life. I'll never forget the day that we arrived here. It was during the year of the Olympics, and the atmosphere was amazing, and the freedom that I felt was so different, because obviously coming from South Africa, we weren't really allowed to go out very much. My parents were very protective. My dad would pick us up and drop us off at the school gates, and we all have our reasons for that. And then coming over here, we had to catch the bus by ourselves. And to me, that was like a crazy experience, because it was just so different. We had to be independent. We had to go from super dependent and then super independent very quickly. So that was a big eye-opener for me. I was around a lot of international people. I had to learn to come out of my shell. So coming from a small town like Pietermaritzburg and then coming to Sydney, I was thrown in. It was just such a busy place, and everyone was so open. They would ask me questions. They were very curious. They'd ask me where I was from. They had never heard of a South African person with an Indian background, so I had to explain that a lot. And I then had all these doors open for me. I went into business and I loved it. I met so many good mentors along the way. I was very fortunate because in my company, they were very pro-female. They were very pro multiculturalism. So I had such great opportunities. And from there, I moved over to the Philippines for a while, where I worked, and I loved the culture there as well. Came back to Sydney, lived in different places, and then moved over to Hong Kong, where I spent a good 5 years learning about their business culture, which was so different. Over the course of those years, I became a mum. I have 2 beautiful children. And so now I'm back in Sydney, and I'm starting up several companies on my own. And yeah, here we are.
Just take me through, it's such a journey, such an interesting journey as well, Anisa. Take me through your schooling in Sydney. You started in Pietermaritzburg, and then it was a whole new adjustment and transition getting into the schooling and the curriculum and all of that in Sydney. How was that transition for you?
It was very, very different. I remember in South Africa, we're obviously very focused on the academic side of things. And it was, to me, if I could describe the key differences, it was more of passive learning versus having to really be critical. And in Australia, they focus so much on being critical, criticizing your thinking and looking at things analytically. And that was a really big shock for me. So they would ask me to answer things very openly, versus learning something and then, rewriting it. So they would say, no, you can't just rewrite something. You need to be more original, and you need to think about things more openly, and you can't be afraid to be wrong. So that to me was really, really big. We would write like essays just from your own ideas. And to me, that was the biggest thing, was the more critical and analytical thinking, and just having to be open-minded without fear of being, I felt, without fear of being judged. So definitely more creative thinking here, which was a bit different.
That is awesome. So I just want to find out, would you come back to South Africa?
Yes. Yes, 100% yes. It's really funny. I always find myself coming back there. You know that, right? Even with the work that I'm doing, I always find myself coming back to South Africa. And I do post a lot of content for women, for girls, for female entrepreneurs. I post a lot of content for self-esteem, confidence, and motivation. And most of my audience is in South Africa, and I can obviously relate to people there a lot more. So I would definitely come back in a heartbeat once travel is back open.
You're back. Anisa, just take me back to the abusive relationships that you faced. I think that is interesting, and that is something that we can help others out there to understand that, you know, you can have a voice and you can talk about how you feel and get out of abusive relationships. So do you want to maybe just tell us a bit about that?
Absolutely. I think it's a really important topic, and I'm really proud of all the women that are speaking out, and that has inspired me to speak out as well about my journey, because obviously traveling around the world, you meet a lot of people, and I met a lot of different people from different cultural backgrounds, and obviously different understandings of how to treat people. And unfortunately, I had met people who weren't very nice, weren't very respectful, and I did encounter a very abusive relationship. Coming from that relationship, I can tell you that if you've been through any sort of abuse or pain or any sort of dynamic where, you know, you're put down or your freedom and your voice is taken from you, it's very painful, and it can certainly leave you feeling quite vulnerable. You can lose your sense of self, you can lose your confidence, and yeah, that was really sorry, 1 second, sorry. Can you edit that out, right?
That's fine. No, there's no editing. It's unscripted. It's the way you see it. It's real.
Okay.
Okay. It's okay.
Sorry about that. My kids had set an alarm, and I don't even know what it's for. It's, yeah. Anyway.
That's okay.
So I thought there was some meditation music coming on. I thought that was really nice, but no, it was my alarm. So if you've ever been through anything in your life like that, any sort of trauma or wounding, it can leave a big scar on you. And I thought, you know, when I had gone through it, I was so ashamed to talk about it. And so I kept quiet and I suppressed all those feelings. The thing with that is, if you do suppress something that big, whether it is abuse or whatever, whether it's, you know, loss or grief or whatever the pain is, it starts to manifest in your life, and it starts to manifest in your business as well. It starts to manifest in your relationships. And I had basically ignored that pain. And then I started to see other role models really start to speak out about abuse, about domestic violence. And, you know, you read the news sometimes and you see women being murdered in a domestic violent relationship. So it is worth it for us to speak out and to talk about these things, and to know that you might look at someone and not think that they had been through something like that, but yeah, they could. It happens. And it's nothing to be ashamed of. We can help each other. We can support each other, because it's something that happens to you. It's not you. And there is a big healing process that goes with that. And it's totally worth it to reach out and to heal yourself. And once you do start to heal, again, you can see everything in your life improve, yourself, your business, your relationships again. So yes, it is something that I do like to talk about if it does help anyone else in that same situation.
I'm sure it's going to help lots of women out there. Well, I never knew about it until you actually sent me your brief bio. So that was quite alarming to hear as well. Like you said, you know, you'll never expect it from somebody, and you don't know the pain they're feeling at the time. But I'm so glad that you finally found that voice to talk about it, because it's important. And you're going to impact so many lives by just telling your story. And that's what this platform is all about, is to tell your story, because you can help someone else out there.
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
Anisa, you overcame all of that and you met a wonderful person that you married. Do you want to maybe take us through that?
Yes. So I went through that really horrible relationship, and I met someone who I would say was quite the opposite. So I was very blessed at the time. I met a very respectful and stable person, Roy, and we met at work. And at the time, after that relationship, I really committed myself to a second chance in my life. I knew that I was so lucky to be here, and I gave that phase of my life everything. And we had met at work. We had a great relationship. We got married, I think, like 6 years later. And then we had two beautiful children. And through that journey, we decided to relocate to Hong Kong and spend a few years there. And in Hong Kong, we went through so many changes. And unfortunately, we had decided that we were just on different paths as well. So I'm very proud of Roy. He's over in Hong Kong at the moment. He's loving his job. It's his dream job, and he loves the culture over there. But for me, I really wanted to return back to my home, which is now Sydney, Australia, with my children. So we came back, and we're supporting each other in our parenting duties. And yeah, it is sad, but of course we're quite mature and we support each other in taking the different parts in our life as well.
I have so much of respect for you, Anisa. And also, I was lucky to have witnessed your wedding because I was at your wedding as well.
Yeah, Farah's wedding.
Oh, yes, yes, that's right, that's right. So, Anisa, just tell me, are the kids in contact with Roy? How often does he get to see them? How does that work?
Absolutely. They're in contact as much as he needs, as much as he can be in contact with them. And he used to travel up and down from Hong Kong to Sydney, I'd say almost every 7 weeks. So his role requires a lot of travel, but obviously with coronavirus right now, travel's been halted. And so he's doing the Zoom chats as well, like every day, sometimes a few times a day. So there's no issue with that. I do believe that, if you are in a co-parenting situation, it's really important to keep that contact with the other parent for the kids. And kids are so resilient and adaptable these days as well. With technology, they're calling family on WhatsApp and on FaceTime all the time. So for them, they're used to the fact that they see dad on FaceTime and then they'll see him again in person soon. So we're very blessed to have, all these things that do support this kind of situation right now.
That's great. It's always good to keep that relationship going, and especially for the kids growing up, because they need to know who their parents are. I think that's very important. So, Anisa, you've been through all of that and this journey of yours. If you could change one thing about it, what would it be?
Honestly, nothing. I would change nothing. I know when I think about it, it's been a wild journey. And I really believe that everything does happen for a reason. They're there to teach you something, or they're there to show you how strong you are or what you need to work on. And so everything, even as it happened, I know that it was always making me a stronger person. And I love to look at it from that positive view of what it taught me. So if I could go back, I know that there were some things that, I wish they didn't happen, but they did. And I feel like I've made so much out of it. And I hope that the way I've handled it and what I've got out of that maybe some other people can take that away as well. There's always something to learn. Yeah.
Yes, there's always something to learn every single day. So you've transformed your entire life. You've reclaimed your power. What advice would you give to women out there?
Oh, one, know yourself, okay? You are your best friend. I know that sometimes, as women, we always want to have people around us and we love that support and it's very good, but let me tell you, you are your best friend. Get to know yourself in many ways. Get to know your strengths and your weaknesses and love them. Love all of who you are. Once you have that anchor of who you are and you love you, nothing can break you. Surround yourself with your right tribe. It's really okay to walk away from things and places and people that don't work for you. Find your tribe, and when you do, you'll see your life transform. And definitely go through your beliefs, go through how you see yourself and what you believe your world to be, because there's one thing that I feel is really important for us as women, is to check our limiting beliefs and the things that we carry. Spend the time to strengthen them. Spend the time to create some really positive things that you can say to yourself every day that lets you remind yourself that you are limitless. Because as women, we truly are infinite. The things that we can do, we are proof. So those are 3 things I could say. Get to know yourself, love yourself, find your tribe, and check out your beliefs.
I love that. We are limitless and we are unstoppable as well. Anisa, Faith Empire. What is Faith Empire? Do you maybe want to take me through that and what it entails? What was the strategy behind starting something like that? I'm sure there was a zest that you had that you wanted to start this. Why?
Yes, so Faith Empire is like my wild child kind of business. So I founded Faith Empire this year during the lockdown period, and it really inspired me because I started my entrepreneurial path so that I could bring my whole self to anything that I'm doing. I love working for people, I love working for companies, but I find that when you're allowed to actually just be yourself, you can achieve so much more. And with Faith Empire, it's exactly that. It's set up for people who want to bring their entire self into their business. So it's a mix of my business expertise, but also my love for being authentic, you know, in your spiritual sense, being authentic to your soul and your life purpose. So what I love to do with Faith Empire is to teach people both how to excel in your business from a practical sense, but also how to look at yourself as that infinite being, as a person who has, you know, a purpose here, and to really own that, to really own your power and your life force energy. So Faith Empire, the faith in it is having faith in yourself, having faith in your unique purpose, and really owning your energy. And I feel that when you have that absolute unshakable faith, you can build your empire. That's all it takes, is to really just know yourself and bring all of you into your work projects or whatever you're working on, and you'll see some amazing results. So that's why I set that up.
So is it a business? Is it something that you have started, implemented as a business, or what do you do? Is it social media, or is it online? Is it motivational talks? What kind of business is it?
It's actually encompassing all of those things. That's why I call it my wild child, because it represents me. I'm a bit of a wild child who can't sit still. So I have my foot in so many things. And when I thought about it, I was actually going to set them up as separate platforms. But there's kind of a trend at the moment, which I'm loving. And it's people like myself who are so dynamic. They're actually just putting it all under one umbrella. And so that's what I'm trying to do as well. So it is social media. I do motivational talks. I create motivational content. But I also help people with very practical matters like digital marketing. So I have a wholesale platform and I have a retail platform. At the moment, I've got 2 clients that I'm working with. And they're very different businesses. One is organic food and the other is apparel. So they are, you know, Faith Empire is helping people with practical things like marketing, how to get your strategy down, how to build a business plan, how to create adverts. But it's also about the owner, the entrepreneur themselves. A lot of the times they come to me and I can see the solution so clearly, but it's just that when they're clouded with stress and when they're clouded with hopelessness, they're tired or they're just not handling things emotionally. So as you know, being an entrepreneur is a very emotional journey. And who better to handle emotions than us women? We're masters at this. So I have a lot of entrepreneurs that come to me and they're really cracked under pressure. And it just takes a little bit of motivation, someone to see your blind spots and to help you find the solution. So it is both.
It sounds like such a wonderful initiative because I think, coming from where you've been, your experience that now you can put that into action and just help other people going forward. Well done on that. And I wish you everything of the best. So just, Anisa, you've lived in South Africa, Australia, Philippines, Hong Kong, back to Sydney. How do you think women are changing in the business world? Is there a seat for us at the boardroom table in terms of business, having that entrepreneur spirit? What do you think? Are women actually coping? Are they managing? Are they being innovative? What are your thoughts?
Yes, I love to see that. I love to see women in different places and how they're all managing it. I feel that it does come down to the support that you have, both in your community, in your home, in your government, and just in general. It does come down to the support that each of those places do give you. For example, in Australia, they just launched, I think, an $18 million package to assist female entrepreneurs, and this is really big. So globally, I think there's 6.2% of entrepreneurs are women versus 9.5%, which are men. So you can see that we have a bit of catching up to do globally, but we really have to look at each country and what support they had in place for that. So in Hong Kong, for example, there's a lot of social support where having a full-time nanny, for example, is quite the norm. So that really helps women get back to work and to be able to focus on their businesses as well. In the Philippines, again, the culture does support women who are entrepreneurs and do want to be the breadwinner in the home. And in Australia, we focus on gender equality, and the government fully supports that as well by putting a lot of financial and social initiatives behind women who want to start their own businesses. So I think it does depend on the country and what support they have for women. I know that, yes, we have a long way to go. We still have a lot of catching up to do, simply because as women, we wear so many hats. We're mums, we're the care, we take care of the home, we take all the emotional labor as well. So we might go to work, we've got so much going on. And yeah, we have to be honest and open about that. We need to have good childcare support. We need to have someone helping us go into the right streams of education and not just staying in stereotypical female roles. We need that thing to open up. So in the schools, I know my kids' school, for example, they focus a lot on STEM, which is helping girls choose more scientific and mathematical fields. And I think that's beautiful. I think that's a great initiative. And it's the same over in Asia. They're really focusing on math and science and engineering being a bigger part of the curriculum, which I think is a really good start from that level. So yeah, those are some of the things that are happening. I'm not sure, South Africa, I think you'd probably be the best person to talk about that.
I don't know if I'm the best person, but I think there is a huge focus on STEM. I think more technology and the coding, I think a lot of girls are going into, or women are going into coding now. So that is prevalent here. But I think overall, South Africa is adjusted to the international curriculum as well. So I think we are on par with education. I'm happy to say that actually. I hope we are. Yes. We are. But I think we're getting there. So yeah, international standards, we're there. Being a lecturer at UNISA, we have close to 500,000 students now, and some of our students come from Australia and the rest of the world. And we can, we ranked in the top, I would say, the top 100 universities in the world. And we do take some of the accolades as well, so which is great.
That's great. That's really great to hear. I mean, I did find with math in particular, the standard in South Africa was really quite high. So I think those core subjects are so important. And then to encourage women to actually do them, it takes a mindset adjustment as well, right?
Yes, absolutely. Anisa, I'm just going to go back to motherhood. Okay. So you are so busy. You've got this, COVID has come and it's attacked all of us. In South Africa, most women are juggling now because they have to see to the kids. They've got to do the homeschooling. They still have to look after their jobs and work from home, do the cooking, the housework, and all of that as well. How do you balance motherhood and business?
Oh, okay, yeah, that's a golden question. The balance, I think, comes from honoring that you are a human being with needs and to take care of yourself. So I would say, honestly, gone are the days where women are this typical picture of being at home and, looking after the kids, and that's it. We have so much to juggle, and we have to acknowledge the adjustment that it takes. For me, I felt so guilty to do that, to focus on my work and my business. And I think I'm not alone here. There are so many women who are brilliant, they're educated, they're running their own businesses, and they're still feeling guilty about their kids. Because I think that comes from somewhere deep down inside of us. We have that belief that, if I'm not there, I'm a bad mom, or I'm not, a good enough parent. And I think firstly, we need to acknowledge that we are human beings. We need self-care and self-love, just like anyone else. We need time just like anyone else. And actually, being a mom who's working or who has a business, you're doing your home and your community such a massive favor. You're providing a role model to your kids by going out there and doing that. And by them seeing that, they will have a different idea for their kids and for their generation. So for me, I would say the balance comes from within you first. Allow yourself to feel your feelings. If you feel guilty, say it. If you're feeling bad or whatever, say it. I promise you that you're not a bad mom. We all go through these emotions, and you are doing yourself and everyone around you a massive favor by actually stepping out and pushing the boundaries of what it means to be a mother. But definitely take time out, care for yourself, treat yourself, and look after yourself. It's really important. You're important. So
Usually as mothers, we find that we're not doing enough most of the time. There's always more to be done, and we feel that we are not coping. We need to do a little bit more. But there comes a time where self-care is so important. I think especially for your mental health these days, we have to do that. Anisa, you have a daughter. What would be your advice to parents out there, just in terms of grooming girls to be our future leaders? Because we want our girls to be future leaders. We want to see women ruling, So what would be your best advice for parents out there?
Oh, I think, yes, leadership for women, we need to be comfortable with it, because guess what? It's not going anywhere. It's here to stay, right? We're here to lead. And often, I'm on the playground with my kids and I hear someone saying, oh, my daughter's so, not my daughter, their daughter is so bossy. And I'll say, we need to kind of change that language around us. Instead of calling a strong or confident girl bossy, we need to say she's a leader, and we need to let girls own that. So anyone who has a daughter looking at this world, I would say support her. Allow her to feel confident in her skills. Allow her to know that she's a leader. Let her find herself and find her spirit and support that. Boost her self-esteem. So I used to get my kids to stand in front of the mirror and to say awesome things about themselves, to say, I'm strong, I'm powerful, I'm brilliant, all these things to themselves. So build that self-confidence in them, because as I said, as women, once we know who we are and our belief in ourselves is unshakable, you'll never be broken. And I think that's so important for girls out there today.
So do you think we have a long wait still in terms of equality? I'm talking about women.
I think we're on our way there. And once again, I think it depends on where you are and the support that you have, from the home to the workplace, to society, to the government, to the country. I think it really depends. But I'm actually loving, one positive thing about COVID is that we're now reaching out to a global community, because we're all online. And it's so nice to share the experiences between women. I think this is really important for us. I know that in some countries, if we talk to them about, the situation for women in this country, they might feel, they might not understand it, because, for example, I have friends in Sweden, and there, it's really equal between men and women. So if I try to talk to them about inequality, it's hard for them to understand that inequality exists. But these are the very people that we need to talk to. We need to understand, how does a society that's really equal look like? What does it look like? How do we get there? And what beliefs do they have? So I think that, yes, we do have a long way to go, but the solutions are there. The solutions are already out there. And we should use this time while we have the internet and we're connecting to really connect with other people and find out what it looks like and how we can get there as well. So we're on our way.
We're on our way, but I think it's taking mighty long. I think we just need to work as teams and collaborate and see how we need the synergy, we need the teamwork and get our voices heard. That's exactly what we need. And we can't do it alone. So we will get there at some point. Hopefully, we're grooming our young leaders into those sort of capacities, and we can only hope for the best. Anisa, what's your power message to women out there? It's Women's Month in South Africa. Just very briefly, what would be your power message?
Oh, you have the power. Trust me, it's not outside of you, it's inside of you, and it's waiting to be unlocked. Please believe in yourself. We are, as I said, infinite beings. Look at all that we can do with so little. So imagine when we start to have that support, we're unstoppable.
Lisa, I just remembered something, okay? I read on your social media where you had you gave a little synopsis of the weakest link. And I thought that was just so amazing. So do you want to maybe quickly tell us that in a nutshell, exactly what you were trying to say there? Because I just thought it's so important for one to actually grasp something like that and relate it to your personal life. So do you want to quickly take us through that?
Yes. So I was thinking about, we often say in a team that we're only as strong as the weakest link, or the weakest person in our team. So I was thinking about the game show that we had in South Africa called The Weakest Link. And basically it was a team of people that would get together and they had to answer questions. And the more questions you had right, you'd be the winner. But after each round, they had to stop and vote out the weakest link in their team so that they could be stronger and keep going further. And I started to think about us as people and the things that link us together and give us our power. So obviously our mind, our thoughts, our mental processes, our body, how we physically function, how we handle stress, how we can function, the stamina that we have, and then our emotions, so how we feel about things, our energy. And I looked at that as our system. And I also thought about in sci-fi movies, when they build a battleship and the enemy comes to get you, they often look at your weakest spot. So the place that you're vulnerable. They don't care how strong you are. They don't care how much of ammunition you have or how wonderful your ship is built. They only care about your weakest link because that's your vulnerable spot and that's where they get you. So as people, our vulnerable spots are always the places that, if we're triggered, it's the place that can really break us down. So it's really good to look at yourself and understand, with your emotions and your mental processes, what's your weakest link? If you were having a good day, what's the one thing that could happen that could just throw you straight off? And that's the thing that you need to work on. So when life is good, we don't often take time to think about these things. But then something happens and it can just throw you right off. And it's a really good idea to find your weakest link so that, you don't have a vulnerable spot and you'll be stronger than ever.
I love that. I simply love that. Anisa, how can one get hold of you?
So I have a Facebook page and I might share the details on this video or on the post. I have a Facebook page called Faith Empire and I'll leave all my details there, my email address and contact number, and WhatsApp as well. So
thank you so much for coming on the chat. And I think, we're going to pick up so much from you and you're going to impact so many lives, Anisa. I wish you everything of the best on your journey going forward. I just want to leave with your motto, whether you believe you can or you can't, you're right, by Henry Ford. And I think that resonates with everything and encompasses everything that you actually spoke about today.
Yep, I love it. I love that motto. It's true. It's up to you what you want to believe. And I always say it breaks my heart when I see very capable women just not believing in themselves. It breaks my heart. So I hope that everyone here can get to know themselves and really believe in what you are, because you will be unbreakable if you do.
Thank you, Anisa. God bless.
Thank you. Bye. Take care.
Bye.